My sister-in-law Megan Caldwell buried 3 children in 3 years, each in her care. I once trusted her with my daughter's life, but now, Megan sits in jail, awaiting trial for attempted murder. Last month, she tried to poison my daughter for inheritance money. But this time, I had a plan: hidden baby monitors, phone recordings, an investigator waiting in the wings. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Back when Megan first married my brother, I remember her gentle lullabies at family barbecues. She'd hum the same tune while rocking my daughter to sleep. That lullaby became her signature one she later sang over every funeral she orchestrated. We baked cookies together, swapped babysitting tips. Megan's daycare had 5 stars, but beneath her kindness, she'd already planned Tyler's fall, Emma's allergy, Mikey's drowning. Ow, that same lullaby makes my skin crawl. I used to call Megan my sister. She gifted Lily a bracelet for her 2nd birthday, tiny silver hearts. Megan said it meant protection, but that bracelet showed up in every obituary photo. Tyler wore it, so did Emma. Mikey too. I dismissed it as coincidence until I saw Lily asleep with a peanut butter cookie in her hand despite her allergy. Megan smiled, said it was an accident. I started keeping notes, patterns emerged, and dread followed. When Mikey drowned on Halloween, I called my mom. 3 kids, same babysitter. I asked. Megan laughed it off, called me dramatic. My husband said I was grieving too hard, but Jane, my old college friend, said, look at the timing, the insurance. I dug deeper. Each child had a policy, Megan's name on every payout. I reported it. The agency dismissed it. Coincidence, they said. But Megan was already watching Lily again that weekend. I planted a baby monitor in Megan's living room. Just audio at first, nothing. Then one night, I heard her humming that lullaby. Then one more, one hurt. This one's worth 50 grand. My hands shook. I played the clip for David, but the file was too fuzzy. That could be anyone, he said. Megan smiled the next day, offered to babysit again. I've got Lily's favorite snacks ready. My heart dropped. I lied, said we had plans. I begged Jane to help. She hacked Megan's tablet, found emails with a policy agent. Subject: urgent beneficiary update. Lily's name, Megan's email, but the files disappeared an hour later, wiped clean. Jane swore she didn't delete them. She's covering her tracks. I said I went to the police again. No proof, they told me. No crime. I screamed in the lobby until they escorted me out. Megan showed up that night with Lily's favorite doll. Jane suggested Max, an insurance investigator she once dated. I sent him everything: Megan's emails, the fuzzy recording, even photos of the bracelet. Max was quiet, analytical. She's too clean, he finally said, but she's sloppy with money. Max found purchases: funeral flowers, designer shoes days before each death, patterns. That's not enough, he warned. I asked David to keep Lily from Megan. He rolled his eyes. You need help, he muttered. Megan waved from the porch. Max called me at 3 a.m. She just filed a new claim, he said. Lily, 10,000. My stomach turned. I burst into Lily's room, held her close. David said I was losing it. Sleep, he snapped. We're all tired. But I packed a bag, drove Lily to my sister's 2 states away. The next morning, Megan showed up at daycare smiling, holding a sippy cup. They told her Lily wasn't there. Megan's smile cracked for a second. I forgot Lily's favorite blanket. Drove back to Megan's. Her front door was cracked. I froze. Inside, I heard her voice: cashews in the brownies, juice in the bottle. My breath caught. I recorded everything. Megan laughed on the call. 4 accidents is harder to explain than 3. I called Max, sent the audio. Then 911. Megan saw me. Her smile vanished. You weren't supposed to be here, she hissed. Megan slammed the door shut. No one will believe you, she spat. I backed toward the hallway, clutching my phone. Max was still on the line. Megan lunged. I ducked, ran outside, yelling into the phone. Max said help was coming. Minutes felt like hours. Then sirens. Police burst through the door. Megan screamed she's crazy, but the recording played her words, her voice. Silence followed. The cops found Lily in the guest room, drowsy, dazed, alive, brownie crumbs on her lips. Megan cried as they handcuffed her. I didn't mean to, she wailed. The paramedics said she'd be okay. David showed up, confused, angry. What the hell happened? I shoved the recording into his chest. Listen. His face paled. Max looked at me and nodded. You saved her, he said. I collapsed to the curb, shaking. Megan was booked that night. Charges: attempted murder, insurance fraud. Max's team found policies for 6 children. All dead. David sat silent beside me at the hospital. I'm sorry, he said. I held Lily's hand, watched her sleep. Jane texted you were right. The lullaby played faintly from the news clip of Megan's arrest. I muted it. I never wanted to hear it again. That sound would haunt me forever. I thought it was over. But 3 days later, the recording disappeared from my phone, vanished. I called Max. Backup's corrupted, he said. Someone breached our system. Megan's lawyer claimed the audio was fabricated. Without it, the case wobbled. David panicked. What if she walks? KSBS showed up asking questions. Someone reported me as mentally unstable. The hospital labeled me unfit. Megan's smile flashed across TV. She was out on bail. I wasn't safe. Megan filed for custody, claimed David was unfit, and I was delusional. Jane vanished, wouldn't return calls. Max's office was ransacked. It's sabotage, he muttered. Megan's lawyer showed the court emails I never wrote, me begging her to take Lily, forged still. The judge hesitated. We need more, he said. David started to believe Megan. Maybe you need help, he whispered. That night, Lily cried. I don't want to go with Aunt Megan. Neither did I. I went to the police again, begged for protection. They said, you need evaluation. Hours later, 2 men came with a court order: psychiatric hold. Megan watched from across the street, smiling. She's delusional, she told them. I screamed as they strapped me to the gurney. Lily reached for me, sobbing. I couldn't reach her. The ambulance door shut. Inside, I shook. My world unraveled. Megan had won for now, but I wasn't finished. In the hospital, strapped to a bed, I met Gabri. She was older, calm. My son did the same, she whispered. From my house, she smuggled me a prepaid phone. I called Max, he whispered. We've got something. A hard copy, a signature. Megan's on an insurance doc. It's notarized, he said. I felt fire in my veins. We're getting you out, he promised. I squeezed the phone tight. Hope flickered. I wasn't alone, not anymore. Max brought the document to the DA. Fraud, perjury, attempted homicide, he listed. The DA reopened the case. A new judge, A court order. I was released the next morning. David met me outside holding Lily. He cried, "I'm sorry. I was wrong." Megan was arrested again at a salon. Cameras caught her screaming, "I'm innocent." But this time, the court had more than recordings, they had paper trails. Megan's house of lies collapsed. Testimonies poured in. A grieving mother, an old teacher, a retired nurse. Each one had lost a child under Megan's care. Jane resurfaced guilt-ridden and testified. "She paid me to disappear," she said. Megan's face stayed blank in court. Max revealed 16 claims, all tied to Megan. The jury gasped. "How did no one see this?" One whispered, "But I saw it all, and I would make sure no one ever missed it again." Megan's trial lasted weeks. Every detail gutted me. Emails, purchases, timelines. Max laid it all bare. "She treated children like checks," he said. Her lawyer blamed stress, childhood trauma, but the facts stacked high. Lily clutched my hand during verdict day, guilty on all counts. Megan's jaw tightened. "You'll regret this," she mouthed. I stared back unflinching. The judge gave her 6 life sentences. I held Lily tighter. Megan could never touch her again after the verdict. Reporters swarmed. "How did you know?" one asked. I showed Lily's bracelet. She gave it to every child. It became evidence. Lawmakers proposed the Lily Act, regulations on child insurance policies. Max joined the panel. I testified. "Mothers aren't crazy," I said. "We know." Lily started school. I watched her run laugh-free. No more lullabies, just sunlight and playground squeals. Megan was gone, but my guard forever sharp. I learned the cost of trust. KSBS launched an internal review. Lily's caseworker was fired. The agency admitted Megan's manipulation exposed flaws. We missed red flags, the director said. David and I filed for permanent sole custody. Approved in days. Jane started a nonprofit in Emma's name. "Never again," she said. Max published a paper. Warning insurers, fraud thrives in silence. Megan's mugshot made national headlines. But the true victory? Lily's laughter returned. I hadn't heard it in months. It broke me. "We visited Tyler's mom. Emma's too. Shared tears, shared silence. She fooled us all," they said. "We planted trees in their memory at the park, each with a nameplate." Lily asked, "Will mine be there?" I knelt. "No, baby. You lied." She didn't fully understand. But she hugged me tight. Megan's bracelet, now locked in evidence, never touched her again. Those trees, they whisper stories now, not of loss, but of warning, strength, and survival. I was invited to speak at a survivors forum. Nervous, I stood at the podium. "They called me crazy," I began. "But crazy saved my daughter." Applause followed afterward. A woman whispered, "My sister's doing the same to my niece." I gave her Max's number. "Trust your gut," I told her. That night, I kissed Lily's forehead. She was safe. My voice, once dismissed, now echoed aloud, unapologetic, believed. Max and I started working together, investigating quietly. Dozens of tips poured in. "I think my neighbor's planning something." A caregiver keeps filing claims. Patterns emerge, disturbing ones. We built a network. Lawyers, therapists, survivors. David supported it all. "We're making change," he said. Even Jane joined. We weren't just reacting anymore. We were preventing. And Lily, she called Max Uncle Max. Now we created a safer world for her and for others. Megan tried appealing. Claimed wrongful conviction. Her lawyer cited media bias. But the courts reviewed everything: emails, purchases, testimonies. The evidence to her appeal was denied in minutes. I watched from the back of the courtroom, holding Lily's bracelet. It had once meant danger. Now it was proof. "Justice holds," the judge said. Megan didn't look at me. She never would again. That part of my life was finally locked away, where it belonged. I wrote a book, crazy enough to save her at first, just therapy, but publishers called it hit bestseller lists. Readers emailed, "You told my story." One wrote, "My sister's alive because of you." I cried reading that, not from pain but from power. I wasn't just Lily's mom now, I was a voice, a signal flare. I closed the book, kissed Lily goodnight, and turned off the light. She slept peacefully. So did I for once. We visited Megan's prison once, not to see her but to speak at a youth program. "Trust doesn't mean blind," I told them. Lily waited outside, drawing flowers. One girl asked, "How did you survive?" I paused. I stopped asking for permission to believe myself. Later, Lily showed me her picture, me, holding her tight, shield raised. "That's your power, Mom." And it was. My fear didn't vanish, but it bowed to my resolve. Gabri passed away. I attended her funeral. Left a white rose. "She saved me," I whispered without her phone. Her courage, I wouldn't be here. I spoke at her eulogy. She reminded me that silence is not strength. The crowd listened. One woman clutched her arm, another nodded, tears in her eyes. Gabri's legacy lived in each of us, especially me. Especially Lily. I owed her everything. And I'd honor that for life. Every year on the trial's anniversary, we light candles, one for each child. Lily places hers with care. "This one's for Mikey," she says. She remembers their names, their faces. I never told her to, she just knows. And that's how change begins, not just in courtrooms or laws, but in children who remember truth. Megan's legacy is gone. Ours remains. Not in fear but in flame, in memory, in mothers who refuse to be silenced. I sat on the porch with Lily, watching her draw hearts in chalk. The same porch where Megan once smiled. Hiding her poison, I felt rage, then peace. I touched the scar on my wrist, restraint strap burn, and remembered Gabri's voice. "Speak, even if they call you mad." That night, I opened my journal, wrote, "Believe yourself first." Lily giggled nearby. That sound, pure and free, was my reward. My vow stood. I'd protect her always, with action, with truth. Lily once asked, "Mom, why don't we sing lullabies?" I smiled, pulled her close. "Because our story has different music." We danced in the kitchen, barefoot on tile, to whatever song played on the radio. I wasn't the same woman Megan tried to break. I stood taller now, spoke louder. Lily's drawing hung on the fridge, me with a cape, her with a shield. She saw me as a hero. But I was just a mom who fought back. Megan Caldwell died in prison 5 years later. Stroke, no visitors, no funeral. The news was a blip. I stared at the headline, no joy, just closure. Lily asked, "Who was she again?" I paused. "A story I'll tell when you're older." We walked past the cemetery. I didn't stop. Her memory was buried deeper than any grave. Justice wasn't revenge, it was peace. Megan lost everything. We gained everything that mattered. Freedom, safety, and most of all, each other. On Lily's 10th birthday, we released balloons into the sky. Each one carried a name. Tyler, Emma, Mikey. Survivors remembered. I watched her laugh, twirl, dance beneath blue ribbons and cupcakes. You're my whole world, I told her. She grinned. I know Max bought her a telescope for looking forward, he said. I tucked her in that night, and for the first time in years, I didn't double lock the doors. Fear no longer ruled us. Love did. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.